Hey everyone, it's Mr. Brigo here, and today we're going to be learning about the Harlem Renaissance. Can anyone tell me about the Harlem Renaissance, or does anyone know what the Harlem Renaissance is? Totally okay. We're going to go ahead, go forward, move forward with our lesson plan. So, I'm going to have you guys go ahead and get out the guided notes that I've already handed out, or they should be on your laptops or in Canvas. Just go ahead and follow along with this. And all this information should be in the PowerPoint. And as you guys are following along with the PowerPoint, you will be able to fill out the notes to the fullest extent. After that, then we're going to go into a lesson where you guys are going to be able to explore some of the arts that came out of the Harlem Renaissance. And from that point, you guys kind of have, I don't want to say free reign, but you have the ability to explore more of the artists as you desire or as you find interesting. So, first of all, we have to know what the Harlem Renaissance is. And the Harlem Renaissance was a development in Harlem, in the neighborhood of New York, where Black culture became the center in the early 20th century. And this was an area where segregation and discrimination kind of didn't exist. It was very unique, and the arts were able to expand, specifically Black cultural arts. This all kind of started with a group called the Harlem Hellfighters during World War I. If you guys remember, we talked about World War I. Any questions about, yeah, like with the mustard gas and stuff like that. So anyways, you had World War I, and this started with the Harlem Hellfighters. They were a group out of Harlem, New York, who, through a large amount of tenacity, developed a reputation as incredibly hard warriors. And during this time, they introduced Europe to the concept of jazz music by doing jazz covers of very popular music of the day. And the French also treated them with equality, which was something they weren't getting from the American side. And with that equality, once they came back, they wanted that same equality because they fought for the same country and thought that they deserved it. So this exposure kind of led not only Europe to pursue jazz, but also Americans were now exposed to more jazz and more other Black arts, and they ended up kind of enjoying it and wanted more of that after the war. However, not only were there reasons abroad for the expansion of the Harlem Renaissance movement, but also at home. There was something called the Great Migration, post-Civil War. And during the Great Migration, many former slaves or Black Americans moved from the South, which was very discriminatory and known to be a hostile environment to them, to the North. And Harlem was one of these neighborhoods that they moved into. It was an overdeveloped area and not enough people were moving into it. So a lot of these people moved there. And from there, the Harlem Renaissance really kind of started to kick off. These are some of the musicians or other artists. You have Aaron Douglas, Louis Armstrong is a very famous one, and then Paul Robeson. And then what it achieved was basically it was an increase in economic activity for segregated Black neighborhoods, and it expanded the African American culture throughout the United States, something that had never been done before. And then unfortunately it ended due to the Great Depression, which we'll talk about in our next lesson. And the Great Depression was basically this total economic collapse. And because nobody had any money at that point, nobody was really going out to the clubs, the jazz music halls, or buying the art or listening to the poetry that these people were creating. So here we have a short overview. As you can see, it starts with the development in Harlem. The second step is the African American units during World War I. The third step is Harlem becomes a multicultural mixing area. And then, unfortunately, the Great Depression ends up ending it all. So if you guys are done, if you guys have any questions on your notes. Yep. Yeah, that would be the Harlem Hellfighters would be that one, okay? So as you guys can see, I have a list of artists here for you guys to go over and for you guys to look at. So I'm gonna have you guys pull out your Chromebooks, go ahead, open up YouTube as talked about, or Google search. And then if you guys wanna go ahead and find one of these artists, and then go ahead and explore their art. art, see why they're connected to the Harlem Renaissance, and what you like about their art, discuss their art, or how do you think that changed culture. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. But from this point, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys explore this culture that we just kind of learned about.